Welcome to StoriesX. Imagine this. Michael Carter's dream pool turns into a frothy mess, trashed by his spiteful ex-cop neighbor Sharon Baxter. But wait, he's got a plan. A secret dye that'll turn her next swim into a green nightmare. What's he cooking up? How will Sharon's smug face look covered in emerald karma? You'll have to hear the whole story to find out. This twist is too good to miss. If you're hooked, smash that like button. We're aiming for 19 likes on this one. Subscribe to StoriesX now and dive into this tale of revenge, justice, and a pool that fights back. The sun blazed high over Atlanta's upscale Chastain Park neighborhood, a shimmering orb bathing the manicured lawns and stately homes in a golden glow. It was a sultry July afternoon, the air thick at 88 degrees Fahrenheit, humming with cicadas and the faint splash of water from backyard pools. Michael Carter reclined in a cushioned lounge chair beside his crystal-clear swimming pool, the water sparkling like a sheet of glass under the Georgia sun. At 40, his dark brown skin glistened with a light sheen of sweat, his lean, wiry frame stretched out in a white tank top and black swim trunks. His close-cropped hair framed a face etched with quiet pride, brown eyes half closed as a warm breeze rustled the palm trees lining his two-story dream home. A modern marvel of white stucco and tall windows he'd bought after years of grinding as a software engineer. 15 years of coding late into the night. Saving every dime and dreaming of this moment had paid off. The house was his prize, the pool his sanctuary, a vision he'd clung to since childhood, watching his parents toil without ever owning more than a rented apartment. Now, glass of iced tea in hand, condensation dripping onto his fingers, he exhaled, letting the tension of deadlines and debug sessions melt away. The water lapped gently against the pool's edge, a soft plink-plink that synced with his slowing heartbeat. This was peace, until it wasn't. A sharp wail of police sirens sliced through the tranquility, growing louder, closer, until two patrol cars screeched to a halt beyond his wrought iron fence. Tires squealed against asphalt, red and blue lights flashing like angry fireflies in the daylight. Michael sat up, the familiar knot of unease twisting in his gut, a reflex honed from years navigating the world as a black man. Two officers, both white, hands hovering near holsters, strode toward his gate, boots thudding with purpose. "Sir," the taller one barked, a lanky guy with a buzz cut and stern blue eyes. "We got a report of a suspicious individual trespassing in this pool area. Step out where we can see you." Michael's jaw tightened, but his face stayed calm, years of keeping cool under pressure kicking in. He rose slowly, bare feet padding across the warm stone tiles, and leaned against the fence, arms crossed. "This is my house, officers. My pool. No trespassers here, but me enjoying my day." The shorter officer, stocky with a red face, squinted at him, skepticism creasing his brow. "Got ID to prove that?" Michael nodded toward the patio table. Wallet's inside. Happy to grab it. But before he could move, a flicker caught his eye. Across the street, behind gauzy white curtains, Sharon Baxter peeked out, her pale face framed by blonde hair, a smug smile curling her lips. Sharon, a white woman in her late 40s, was a former cop fired from misconduct, a fact Michael had learned from neighborhood whispers. She'd been a thorn since day one, her tall, sturdy frame often looming at her window, watching him like a hawk. That smile told him everything. This was her doing, her latest jab in a 2-month war he hadn't asked for. The officers glanced at each other, then back at him. "We'll need to verify," the tall one said, voice clipped. Michael forced a tight smile, nodding. "Go ahead, but you might want to ask who called this in and why." As the officer stepped back to radio in, Michael's mind raced back to the start. 2 months ago, when he'd rolled up with moving boxes, proud and oblivious, only to meet Sharon stare. She'd marched into his yard that first week, designer swimsuit hugging her frame, claiming the pool as her right. "The old owners let me use it," she'd said, dripping condescension, her blue eyes narrowing when he'd introduced himself as the new owner. "You? Must be a mistake," she'd laughed, the unspoken racism hanging heavy. Now, as sirens faded and the officers lingered, Michael gripped the fence, resolve hardening. Sharon thought she could ruin his peace. She didn't know he'd spent a lifetime learning how to fight back. quietly, smartly, and with evidence she couldn't dodge. The Atlanta sun dipped low 2 months earlier, casting a warm orange haze over Chastain Park as Michael Carter hauled the last moving box into his dream home. Late June air buzzed at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, thick with humidity and the scent of fresh-cut grass wafting from his pristine lawn. His lean, wiry frame flexed under a gray t-shirt and jeans, dark brown skin gleaming with sweat as he arranged patio chairs beside his sparkling pool. His close-cropped hair clung damp to his scalp, brown eyes bright with pride. This two-story stucco beauty was his, earned through years of coding software late into the night, a far cry from his parents' cramped rentals. He paused, wiping his brow, when a shadow flickered across the street. Sharon Baxter stood at her second-floor window, a tall, sturdy white woman, pale skin framed by blonde hair pulled into a tight bun. Her blue eyes locked onto him. Phone pressed to her ear, lips moving fast. Michael raised a hand in a polite wave, but she vanished behind her curtains, leaving an uneasy ripple in the air. He shrugged it off, new neighbors, new quirks, and turned back to his pool, its water glinting like a promise under the fading light. Next day, he'd barely pulled out of the driveway for the hardware store when his phone pinged, a security camera alert. He tapped the app, jaw dropping as a live feed loaded. Sharon, in a sleek black designer swimsuit, sashayed through his unlocked back gate like she owned the place. Her luxury beach towel draped over one arm, she laid it across his pool chair, kicked off her sandals, and dipped her pale feet into the water, toes wiggling as she sighed. Michael's grip tightened on the steering wheel, the hum of his car's engine drowned by the thud of his pulse. He sped home, tires crunching gravel as he pulled in. "Excuse me," he called, stepping onto the patio, voice steady but firm. Sharon jolted, hand flying to her chest, blue eyes widening in mock surprise. "Oh, I thought you were the new pool guy," she said, a condescending smile spreading across her face, blonde bun tilting as she stood. "The old owners always let me use this." Michael's blood simmered, but his software engineer calm, debugging under pressure, held firm. "I'm not the pool guy, ma'am. I'm the owner, Michael Carter." He pointed to the house. "I'd appreciate you asking before coming onto my property." Sharon's smile twisted, disbelief flashing across her pale features. "You? The owner?" She laughed, a nervous trill, gesturing vaguely at him. Racism unspoken but loud. "There's some mistake. I know the realtor, and she never mentioned," she trailed off, eyes narrowing. Michael crossed his arms, brown eyes unflinching. "No mistake, Mrs. Baxter. This is my home. You're trespassing. Please leave." His tone stayed even, counted 10 in his head as she gathered her towel, muttering, "We'll see about that," under her breath, a promise he didn't miss. Days later, he woke to splashing and laughter. Peering out his bedroom window, he froze. Sharon, in a red swimsuit, lounged by his pool with 4 friends, white women in designer bikinis, sipping mimosas like it was their backyard. "You need to leave," Michael said, stepping out, his gray t-shirt clinging in the morning heat. Sharon waved a dismissive hand, her smug smile back. "Oh, don't be difficult. This pool barely gets used." One friend whispered, shifting uncomfortably, Sharon said she had permission." Michael's jaw clenched, but he channeled his de-escalation instincts. "Final warning, Mrs. Baxter. Next time I call the cops." She sneered, last to leave, tossing over her shoulder. "Go ahead. I know the precinct. My husband golfs with the captain." That afternoon, Michael installed 3 cameras, their lenses glinting like silent sentinels. Years of tech savvy told him, document everything. Sharon didn't know it yet, but her game had just met a player who'd spent a lifetime mastering the code, literal and otherwise. As the sun set, casting long shadows over his pool, he sat back, planning his next move, the water still rippling from her intrusion. A week into July, Chastain Park shimmered under a relentless 90 degrees Fahrenheit sun, the Atlanta heat baking the asphalt and turning Michael Carter's pool into a mirror of blue fire. His lean frame paced the patio in a white polo and khaki shorts, dark brown skin beaded with sweat as he inspected his roses, red blooms he'd planted with care. His close-cropped hair caught the light, brown eyes narrowing at a faint chemical stink wafting from his lawn. Sharon Baxter had up her game, and the evidence was piling up on a security app. Her tall, sturdy figure caught stealing his newspaper at dawn, peering through his windows at dusk, even testing his gate with a key that didn't work, an old copy from previous owners. One Saturday, he returned from grocery shopping to a scene that stopped him cold. 8 white women in sundresses lounged by his pool, wine glasses clinking. Sharon at the helm in a teal swimsuit, her pale skin flushed with triumph. Her blonde bun gleamed, blue eyes glinting as she laughed over some book club quip. "What the hell?" Michael muttered, dropping his bags, storming out. "You're trespassing. Again. Leave now." Sharon smirked, waving a hand. "Oh, relax, Michael. We're just borrowing it." Her friends shifted, uneasy, but she pressed on. "You barely use this pool." He dialed 911, voice steady as steel. "I've got intruders at my property." Minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up, Officers Davis and Martinez, old precinct faces he'd crossed paths with at tech conferences. Davis, a wiry black man with a shaved head, grinned. "Mike, long time no see. Oh, it's this kind of call." Martinez, a stocky Latino with a buzz cut, eyed Sharon, who flipped to tears. "Officers, thank God. This man's harassing us. We've always had pool privileges here." Martinez cut in, "Ma'am, Mr. Carter's one of the sharpest guys I know. If he says you're trespassing, you are. Move it." Sharon's face reddened, hissing as she left. "This isn't over. You don't belong here." Her campaign darkened. Anonymous HOA complaint about his unkempt yard, despite his perfection, flooded in. His morning paper vanished daily. Cameras catching Sharon's pale hands at 6 a.m. At the monthly HOA meeting, she stood, tall and smug, blonde hair tight, voice dripping venom. "I'm worried about property values. Some recent changes make buyers uncomfortable." Michael rose, phone in hand, brown eyes calm but burning. "Interesting, Mrs. Baxter. Care to explain this?" He played the footage, her sprinkling plant killer on his roses, at 11:47 p.m., clear as day. The room hushed, her pale face paling further. "I was checking for vandals," she stammered. "Now we know who the vandal is," he said, cool as ice. That night, he found his pool bubbling with dish soap, Sharon's latest jab. The once pristine water frothed white, a chemical stench stinging his nose as he stood on the patio. The 85 degrees Fahrenheit evening air heavy with her spite. His roses drooped, his peace shattered, but a plan sparked. He remembered a tech conference chat, non-toxic pool dye, safe but reactive with sunscreen chemicals, turning skin a vivid green for days. A slow smile spread across his face, the kind that came from years of solving problems others couldn't. Sharon wanted his pool? He'd let her have it, with a twist she'd never forget. He ordered the dye online, tested it in a bucket with sunscreen Sharon left behind. Her pricey brand turned it a brilliant emerald. Perfectly legal, perfectly humiliating. Through the grapevine, he heard she planned another pool party Saturday. A property values excuse to rile him. Michael grinned, setting up 3 more cameras, their lenses hidden among the palms. As the sun dipped, casting long shadows over his sabotage pool, he leaned back, plotting. Sharon thought she'd break him, but she didn't know he'd spent a lifetime turning glitches into victories. And this glitch was about to go viral. Saturday morning broke over Chastain Park with a flawless blue sky. The Atlanta sun climbing steadily to a steamy 87 degrees Fahrenheit by noon, its rays glinting off the rooftops and shimmering to the leaves of towering oaks. Michael Carter stood in his home office, a sleek sanctuary of glass and steel overlooking his pool, its water now filtered pristine, but secretly laced with his ingenious weapon, non-toxic dye, invisible until it mingled with Sharon Baxter's pricey sunscreen. His lean frame leaned casually against the desk, dark brown skin cool and dry beneath a black t-shirt and shorts, close-cropped hair sharp against the soft light filtering through the blinds. His brown eyes sparkled with anticipation, a software engineer's precision threading through every step of his trap. He'd left that morning, revving his car's engine loud enough for Sharon to hear, tires crunching deliberately on the gravel driveway. only to circle block and slip back inside to the side gate, silent as a shadow. Across the street, Sharon paced her backyard, a tall, sturdy white woman, pale skin flushed with the thrill of her scheme, blonde bun pulled tight as she barked into her phone, voice carrying over quiet hum of cicadas. He's gone all day Saturdays. Trust me, bring your best swimsuit, she declared, loud enough for Michael's cracked office window to catch every word. Her blue eyes gleamed with malice, oblivious to the 3 new cameras he'd tucked among the swaying palm fronds, their tiny lenses winking in the sunlight like mischievous eyes. At precisely 2 p.m., she made her move, strutting through his back gate with the confidence of a queen, teal bikini hugging her frame, trailed by 6 friends. White women in designer swimsuits, their arms laden with champagne bottles, beach bags, and nervous giggles that fluttered like moths in the still air. "Ladies, welcome to our Saturday sanctuary," Sharon announced, raising a crystal flute, her voice thick with smug satisfaction as she sank into a pool chair, the water glinting innocently beside her. What the new owner doesn't know won't hurt him. Michael watched from his perch, phone poised to record, a faint smirk tugging at his lips as he adjusted the angle of his screen. One by one, they slathered on their expensive sunscreen, Sharon's favorite brand. He noted with a flicker of satisfaction, its floral scent wafting faintly through the air. Then they dove in, the water erupting in elegant splashes, ripples dancing across the surface as they laughed and floated, oblivious to the chemical reaction brewing beneath. "Perfect," Sharon called, kicking her pale legs lazily, her blonde bun bobbing as she tilted her head back, basking in her stolen victory. Jazz drifted from their Bluetooth speaker, a soft, mocking soundtrack to Michael's silent countdown. 10 minutes ticked by, the sun climbing higher, its heat pressing down like a weight. Then it began. Susan, a petite brunette with a high-pitched laugh, frowned, lifting her arm from the water. "Sharon, is your skin different?" A green tint crept across her pale flesh, vivid and undeniable under the unrelenting sunlight. Sharon glanced at her own hands, and a shriek tore from her throat, a banshee wail that shattered the afternoon's calm, echoing off the stucco walls. "What's happening?" Her pale skin bloomed bright green, a garish St. Patrick's Day nightmare spreading from her fingertips to her shoulders. Panic erupted like a thunderclap. Women scrambled out of the pool, dripping emerald streaks, their carefully applied makeup smearing green down their faces in grotesque rivulets. "My daughter's wedding's next week," one wailed, her legs a minty mess as she clutched a towel that only smeared the hue deeper. Sharon stood frozen, drenched and furious, green hands clawing the air as she spun wildly. "This was deliberate," she sputtered, her blue eyes locking onto a camera's red light blinking cheerfully from the palms. Michael leaned back in his chair, the cool leather creaking beneath him, recording every second of the exodus. 6 green-tinted women bolting to the neighborhood, designer swimsuits flashing in the sun, leaving wet, glistening footprints on the sidewalk like a trail of shame. He edited with swift precision, splicing clips of Sharon's prior trespassing, stealing newspapers at dawn, sprinkling plant killer on his roses under moonlight, into the green chaos, all set to their Johnny Jazz track. By dusk, he uploaded it to social media, titled "Trespassing Sharon Gets Green with Envy." Views soared, millions in hours, local news pouncing with headlines. "Atlanta ex-cop's pool party goes viral." Comments flooded in, "Karma's a green goddess." Sharon's real estate page drowned in a sea of green emojis, Client abandoning ship as her smug, mint-hued face trended across platforms. That night, Michael stood by his pool, the water still rippling faintly from the day's chaos, the air cooling to a balmy 80 degrees Fahrenheit as stars pricked the darkening sky. Sharon's lawyer fired off a frantic cease and desist email, but Michael's footage, time-stamped trespassing, vandalism, silenced it like a slammed door. The neighborhood WhatsApp buzzed alive. "She tried that with us too." Mrs. Rodriguez dropped off empanadas, her voice low with confession. "Sharon griped about my decorations for years." The green trap had sprung perfectly. Sharon's reign was fracturing, her arrogance melting into a puddle of humiliation. Michael exhaled, the warm breeze brushing his skin, his smirk widening. His quiet revenge was rippling through Chastain Park. and the best was yet to come. August swept into Chastain Park under a gentler 82 degrees Fahrenheit sun. The Atlanta air crisp with morning dew as Michael Carter knelt beside his roses, their red petals unfurling in vibrant defiance of past sabotage. His lean frame moved with ease in a blue t-shirt and jeans, dark brown skin catching the soft light filtering through the oaks, close-cropped hair sharp against the dawn's tender glow. His brown eyes softened with quiet satisfaction, tracing the lines of his backyard where the pools sparkled clean. No trace of dye or soap remained, just a serene expanse of water, reflecting the sky. 2 weeks had passed since Sharon Baxter's green-tinted downfall, and the neighborhood pulsed with new rhythm. Laughter spilled from weekend barbecues. Children's squeals punctuated the air as they splashed under his watchful gaze, and his cameras, once guardians against spite, now captured moment of unscripted joy. Sharon, a tall, sturdy white woman, had crumbled beneath the weight of her own hubris. Her frame slumped in a hastily filmed apology video, her pale skin still bearing a faint Mindy sheen under the harsh glare of her camera's lights, blonde hair hanging limp and lifeless. Maintaining community standards, she claimed, her voice brittle, blue eyes dull by defeat. A pitiful bid that backfired spectacularly, going viral for all the wrong reasons as viewers mocked her emerald glow. Her real estate firm severed ties with a curt statement. We respect property rights. Her actions don't reflect us. Days later, a for sale sign pierced her lawn like a final surrender, her husband's voice drifting from the golf club, thick with frustration. Can't close a deal when your wife's a green meme. She can't even show houses without people staring. Sharon took to slinking along the long route around the block, avoiding the sight of Michael's pool parties. Proper gatherings now, with handwritten invites and the smoky scent of ribs he grilled himself wafting over the fences, drawing neighbors like moths to a flame. At the HOA's Labor Day meeting, Sharon mounted one last desperate stand, her voice rising shrill and thin as she ran about dangerous pool chemicals to a nearly empty room. Only 3 attendees showed, each sporting green ribbons pinned to their shirts in silent allegiance to Michael. Someone in the back began humming, "It's Not Easy Being Green," a low, teasing melody that swelled into stifled laughter from the handful present. Sharon's face flushed a furious red, clashing magnificently with her fading green undertones, and she fled, the door banging shut behind her. The room erupted, a dam of silence shattering. Neighbors like the Johnsons stepped forward, their voices steady. "She tried banning our kids' basketball hoop years ago." Mrs. Rodriguez, her dark eyes flashing, added, "She called my Christmas decorations too ethnic. I should have spoken up sooner." Michael sat back, his small smile louder than any words, brown eyes meeting theirs in a shared, unspoken victory. The new family in Sharon's old house, an interracial couple with twin girls, slipped into the neighborhood's fabric seamlessly, their daughter's swim team drills becoming a weekend ritual under Michael's patient coaching, their giggles bouncing off the water. One evening, as the sun dipped to a cool 78 degrees Fahrenheit, casting golden streaks across his pool surface, Michael floated on a raft, the water lapping gently against his skin, a faint breeze rustling the palms. His phone buzzed, a local news email. Sharon was stirring trouble in her new state, demanding access to a neighbor's tennis court, her old habits unbowed. He chuckled, marking it red, and let the device slip onto poolside table, sinking deeper into the calm. A framed photo hung near his pool gate, 6 green figures sprinting to the streets, a vivid reminder of karma's splash. Tom, 2 doors down, hauled a cooler for their Labor Day barbecue, pausing to marvel, 20 years in this neighborhood, and I've never known my neighbors till now. Your pool changed that. The Rodriguez kids tiptoed past Sharon's former house, whispering, "Don't tell Sharon," a running gag that sent their parents into fits of laughter, the sound carrying over the fences. Real estate agents showing Sharon's house stumbled through awkward tours, legally bound to disclose a green legend with tight, practiced smiles. "No, it won't affect your pool, just a quirky history." Michael's pool had become Chastain's beating heart. Birthday parties with balloons bobbing in the breeze, swim lessons with kids paddling under his guidance, summer evenings alive with chatter and the clink of glasses. HOA meetings shrank to short, friendly affairs, free of her venomous complaints, the air lighter without her shadow. Reporters circled once, fishing for a quote. He shrugged, voice calm. Anyone's welcome. Just ask permission first. His triumph wasn't a departure, but the community it forged, a tapestry of faces and stories woven around his once contested sanctuary. As he raised a lemonade glass that night, the pool glinting under a canopy of stars, it wasn't for Sharon's fall. It was for standing his ground, turning a bully's game into a neighborhood's gain, proving that dignity and grace could outshine even the greenest spite. The Atlanta sun set over Chastain Park, painting Michael Carter's pool in hues of gold and crimson, its water still at last. His dark brown skin glowed with quiet triumph, brown eyes reflecting a neighborhood reborn, laughter echoing, kids splashing, neighbors united where Sharon Baxter's spite once reigned. Her green-tinted fall had faded into legend, her house sold, her shadow gone. Michael floated on his raft, a lemonade glass raised not to her defeat, but to the peace he'd reclaimed. Karma doesn't need a fight, just a nudge, he mused, smiling at the framed photo of her emerald exodus. To you listening, when bullies test your ground, stand firm, not loud. Evidence and patience can turn their games to dust. Build your sanctuary, share it wisely, and let justice splash back. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge is living well,